Happy holidays, everybody! 2010 has been quite a year for me, having visited 9 countries in a whirlwind of travel. I started out in Australia, celebrating the New Year with friends in Victoria, before heading to Sydney to see the sights and stay with some friends. Next, I visited a Canadian friend who moved to Canberra, which is Australia's capital city. Then it was off to New Zealand to shoot a TV show where I soaked, bungeed, jet-boated, free-falled, sledged, soaked some more, hiked, admired, skydived, helicoptered, volcanoed, abseiled, and caved. After that, I got some downtime in Wellington before checking out more nooks and crannies on the North Island, places like Tongariro Crossing and Mount Tarawera. I also discovered one of my favorite places in the world, Mana Retreat, where I worked in trade for my accommodation. Then it was a very long business class flight to Spain, where I checked out the tapas culture, volunteered in trade for my accommodation by speaking English, visited the walled city of Toledo, stayed with a family near Madrid, where I had an interesting encounter, and sampled the cuisine and grandeur of Segovia, another walled city with quite a spectacular aqueduct. With just a week to spare, I popped over to southern Germany to visit a friend I met at Mana, who showed me the city of Ulm and the surrounding countryside. Next, I had a date to meet my family in Paris, where we saw some sights, before heading to the south to stay with some friends in the Mediterranean. We ate amazing food, checked out the markets, and took long drives along the coast. We also saw World Heritage sites like Pont de Neuf and Carcassonne, the city that looks like a castle. After some welcome beach time, it was off to England with Mum, where we house sat for a few weeks. We also got around a bit, seeing sites like London, Avebury, and Winchester. Mum and I parted company, and I went to York to stay with a fellow travel writer, sample some high tea, and visit the coast at Whitby, a quaint English seaside town with a dark, fabled history. Next, I hopped on a train to Edinburgh to check out the Fringe Festival, gawk at the fried food, and drive into the Scottish Highlands. The scenery was beautiful, the weather was surprisingly cooperative, and the hiking was fabulous. Ireland was just a ferry ride away, where I reveled in the gorgeous green countryside, saw the Giant's Causeway with its strange rock formations, and admired the sights of Dublin. Sampling the local brew, too, of course. France wasn't done with me yet, as I returned to film the pilot for a travel TV show. With the crew, we headed to Nepal to continue filming. I absolutely fell in love with Nepal, and I hope to return there soon to further explore this amazing country. As you can see, I went a little bit camera happy. By the end of September, I was back in Australia on a quest to ride the rails. I rode the Ghan from Darwin on a 3-day journey, down through the Red Centre, and eventually through to Adelaide. Next, I took the Indian Pacific from Sydney on a 4-day journey from Pacific to Indian Oceans, through Broken Hill and the Outback, down to Adelaide again with its bustling central market, through Cook, the ghost town with a population of 5 people, and all the way across the Nullarbor Desert to Perth. After enjoying 24 hours in the incredibly isolated city of Perth, it was back on the train for me and another 4 days back to Sydney. All in all, I rode 16,000 kilometers of Australia's rails, and I didn't even cover it all. I'm back in New Zealand now, spending Christmas and New Year's at Mana Retreat. I'm very excited for 2011, which promises to hold many more travel adventures. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, full of good food, good friends, and lasting memories. Cheers from the professional hobo.